Hey everybody, Tim Harrison, Straight Up Mortgage Talk. Today we're going to talk to Raquel Garcia from Elite Inspection Professionals, and she's going to tell us why you should get an inspection, how to avoid the issues you could have if you didn't, and really what does an inspector do. So let's get started. Hey Raquel, so let's get into it. So property inspections, we know they're super important. But can you kind of explain to us why they're so important when somebody's buying a home?
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Thank you for having me here. This is so very important to have a home inspection. Just a tidbit of me, I am a licensed realtor and I have been since 1999. So I am experienced with working with buyers. And this is a huge investment that these buyers, one of the biggest ones that the buyers will make in their lifetimes. And so having that home inspection to protect them and to get to really know what's going on in the home is really important. One wonderful thing about having a home inspector is that they're unbiased and they're not there. They work for you. You pay them to do a good job. We check 1,800 points and we give a very full, detailed report. And it's between 80 and 100 pages with pictures. And we check all the main components. And
But let me break that up. When you talk about main components, is that like the electrical panel and the electrical, do you have like kind of I know there's 180, 1,800, 1,000 and all that, but like, what are the things, if you were just to summarize the categories that a person's going to look at a report for risk?
Yes.
And like, even if it's like a checklist for things they might do in the future, but maybe they aren't going to get the seller to do right now. But the nice thing I like about an inspection is it gives you your knockdown list of what to do to make the house perfect. And give you an idea what those costs might be in the future. But just give me a breakdown on like the main categories that an inspector is going to look at, just kind of like the high level before you get down to all the little areas, I guess.
Absolutely. So those main components are your foundation, your HVAC, your roof, your electrical, and your plumbing.
Okay, and perfect.
Roof is super important too. I mean, there's certain ones that are just like, very expensive and yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people the roof and the HVAC, because I paid for both of those. So the ones that you want to know about are the ones that cost the biggest dinero, right? A little problems with the electrical usually can be fixed. I mean, obviously if there's something major, you're gonna, but even then, HVAC, roof, you're gonna want to make sure those are things you're well aware of. It doesn't mean you don't want the house. It just means you're well aware of it. Correct. Yeah. So you know what you're going into, and you can look up the potential cost before you go all the way.
Exactly. And one of our ancillary things that we have going is a repair pricer, which makes it so much easier. So let me step back a little bit. Within the report, you're going to have a very detailed report, but it will be summarized on one page. It depends on how many, and it'll be in red. So it will be in red. It'll say these are
red's the items. Not good, right?
Red is not good. It doesn't mean it's not fixable, but
it's just not perfect.
Right.
Green is no money spent, and red is like in accounting, right?
Yeah.
Red is a kind of potential negative. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So with those items, what we offer is to purchase a repair pricer. That goes to a third-party company that looks at all those items in the summary page, and then it shoots over the cost of repairs, an approximate cost of repairs. So it makes it really super easy.
So you just led into my next question, right? Sure. So what is, now that you've added this, I'm super excited because I'm like, I didn't know that was available. This is why I do these. And then actually my clients and the people that listen to the Straight Up Mortgage Talk actually get more information than I've had after 28 years in the business, because I'm basically interviewing the experts in one different specific area. So it's been very enlightening for me to realize how stupid I really am after 28 years when I thought I knew something. So that's cool. So my question that you led into was, what's the cost range of a home inspection? And then kind of add like that cost estimator thing. That seems like that's an additional
Sure.
deal.
Mhm.
And so like, hey, here's a basic inspection. It's going to cover this, and it's going to range from this to that. Here's all the additionals you can pay for. Like I know when I did Elite on a house, in fact, my son who's helping me record this, one of the things he bought a house in Claremont, 5+ years ago, and we have real root problems with trees because it's the tree city. And
Right.
we made sure we scoped that sewer drain, and that was, an extra charge. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking for.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. We charge by square footage. So like a
Okay.
typical 2,000 square foot home will run you about $450.
Okay.
If you wanted a sewer scope added onto that, and that is so super important here in California because of
Yeah.
the weather and the drought. And so yeah, that's very important though. The sewer scope is going to run you with the home inspection an additional $225.
Okay.
The repair pricer would cost you an extra $100.
Only a
And
hundred?
that, mhm,
And
yeah,
that's going to basically tell them like, hey, and by the way, what'd you call it? Sewer scoper?
sewer scope.
And
Sewer
that's like a
scope.
camera going down that drain, and you can see like whether there's cracks and whether there's problems. And you could get a bid for 100, you could get an estimate for $100 to find out that replacing that whole pipe could be $10,000. So you could be like, hey, I got a $10,000 problem here. I can go back to the seller and say, give me $10,000 so I can fix this. Or at least know that if you're buying that house, what extra cost you have to function, sort of
Exactly.
factor in. Doesn't mean again that you won't do the deal. It's just that like, hey, if you had, a foundation problem and an air conditioning and a roof, and like maybe that's got to be something you got to know about and renegotiate,
Right.
or is it really the right house for you if you don't have money for all those things?
Correct.
Right? You might
Correct.
want that house no matter what, but like to know what you're getting is okay. So 450 is sort of the basic. You start adding scopes, and boy, that estimator is a real time saver though. I didn't know that was
Yes.
available because people are going in and they can look at one report for $100. I could 100, it'd take me
It
half a day to get the estimates on all these things. And
absolutely.
that's,
And that's
and so
mhm.
tell me a little bit about that, because I wasn't really familiar with that. Like how and who are you going to for these estimators? Is this like,
It's a
how do they come up with accurate information on that?
I could not tell you exactly. I know that they're its own entity that you send it over the summary, and then they have their estimates.
So
It's not
that's not even
exactly
part
their
of
estimate.
Elite. That's like a separate
Correct.
company that knows how to estimate things. Okay,
Correct.
so they're professionals at
Yeah, they're
that, and you're
professionals at what they
professionals
do.
at awesome,
Hmm.
awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a really cool deal, by the way. I didn't know that was there. So all
Yeah.
right, here's the tough one.
Okay.
And maybe it's different your company than others, and I don't care if you bash on other companies, just no names. What does it take to become an inspector? Like, I mean, who are these people? Like, I've dealt with your company a couple times, and they're either like they were former contractors, they really knew what they were doing. I was super impressed. But I've kind of heard horror stories of like, oh, you don't really need to be licensed. You can just say I'm an inspector. So can you tell me the difference between like why is it important to pick one home inspector over the other? And if you don't just go with elite, like how do you know how to differentiate one who actually is qualified or better qualified than the others? Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Yep, it does, Tim. It does. And this is part of my passion, is getting in front of every single agent, as many agents as possible, to let them know. As an agent, we can't say, here, take this person. You got to do this. That's way too much liability on you, on ourselves. You need to present three. I mean, there's a whole other, yes. So in order to educate these agents, they need to learn to do their own homework. They have to be certified, and they have a certified home inspector, not just certified, but they need to have insurance. They have to carry a lot of insurance. And that's so important because a lot of people will take like a simple course and then call themselves a home inspector, or they'll think because they have a contracting license that makes it okay to just go in and, here's my business card, I'm a home inspector, I can do this. It's not. With elite, we have them go through INTERNACHI. It's a home inspector certification, either that or IGO, and they go through that course. They do that on
And
their own.
you're throwing these two names out there.
Mhm.
These are like places that certify
Correct.
nationwide, I'm guessing,
Yes.
say, hey, these people are actually certified. It's a formally recognized education for what a home inspector looks like. We're regardless of whether they're a contractor, they know this stuff.
Right.
It's also specifically knowing what to look at so you can mark off every one of those. How many different items in a dang report?
1,800.
1,800 that they're going to look at. So contractors going to look at major structural stuff. They're going to say, hey, you need to look at all these items. And those two entities are recognized as the institutes.
Yes.
The highest level institute of training, I'm assuming.
Yes, that is correct. So that is something that they do on their own. They pay out of pocket to do that on their own. We let them know, if you are hired on by us, then we will pay for that tuition. And so then they come to us, we interview them. We need to make sure that they're highly educated. And I mean, we've got ex-Marines and military, retired military people here. There's such a broad college educated people that have taken the course. They take the course, they come to us, we interview them, we qualify them to be awesome elite individuals, and then they go through an 8-week training course with us. So then we have our director of operations that runs that training course. They're shadowed by certified master inspectors for, between that 8 weeks. So they've already done the certification on their own. They've interviewed with us. They go through extensive training and shadowing before they even get to do something on their own.
Okay. And again, Elite, also, you guys provide extra insurance and stuff like that, and guarantees that other regular, I don't want to say regular, I'm sure other companies do it too, but those that just take a quick course and hang the shingle and you don't really know whether they went to the two real quality insurance or companies that certify, right?
Yeah.
So you also, as I recall, somebody told me like there's a couple extra things that you sort of guarantee that other not all home insurance companies or inspection companies insure.
Well, we have a $2 million insurance policy, and with errors and omissions, we have 100% workman's comp, and we do offer 90-day. I'm wondering what you're talking about, but I think maybe the 90-day warranty.
Yeah, I just know one of my realtors that had recommended that Elite was really good is that they say there's certain things like roof or sewer or something like that you guys had the ability to just sort of, I can't remember what it was, but it just like there was extra things that you did for guarantees that others didn't do. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it seemed like part of the report or part of a little bit more backing on certain things, like maybe it was roof or something. I don't know.
Could have been talking about the warranties. We also, part of the inspection fee, we take a portion of that, and then we go to an outside company that gives us warranties.
And what would those be like?
Those would be more for the first 90 days. Then if there's something that came up within the home after they moved in, then they can file a claim, and then that would go to the warranty company, and they would take a look at it. And
that would be it. So basically, they're just saying, hey, not only are we doing all these things, we're finding them, but if we miss something, we're paying a warranty company to back us because they know how well our people are trained. And obviously, you had a bunch of claims because you missed stuff, you'd lose the insurance.
Correct.
But you don't, because you're going to make sure your people are super well trained so that you can keep the insurance and keep those guarantees. Absolutely. It's a lot better than, hey, I inspected, sorry, I missed it, I'm going to try to sue you. Hey, no, it could be missed. And here's a company that we paid to come in and fix the issue.
Correct.
That's what he would have been talking about. So awesome. Okay. So kind of what's the basic time when a home inspector shows up at a house? And I mean, kind of basic, super basic. What are they doing when they get there?
Well, typically we have different times scheduled, like between 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. And he basically will get there about 20 to 30 minutes earlier. It's okay if the buyer and the agent isn't there yet. That's totally fine, because he's going to be inspecting the exterior as much as he can and getting visual views. And he's one thing I didn't mention though is that they're generalists, right? They're like your doctor, your primary physician, if the primary physician feels, you have, or sees that you have a heart palpitation, he's going to refer you to a cardiologist. So
Right.
that's really important for everybody to understand, is that we do a visual inspection and we're just checking out everything.
So, hey, you look like you have a plumbing problem. You should get a plumber to come out here and look at it and see if it's a real problem. Hey, this definitely seems like the roof is leaking. You need to have a licensed roofer come out here and tell you like if this is a real issue or whatever else, or I mean, that kind of thing. So you're saying, look, they're looking at the whole of the deal, but they're going to recommend like, hey, there might be a problem with this foundation. You need to have an engineer come and look at this, that kind of stuff. So we get that's a really good point to bring across. So when they come in there, they're kind of looking in general. They're looking like the electrical panel and making sure there's not like two wires going to one, deal, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of already covered some of the add-on products. Do we kind of cover most of those? It's like sewer.
We have sewer, our sewer camera. We have our roof. We have a licensed roofer that works for our company, and it comes with certifications also. So, and the certifications are transferable. So basically for $275, you need this roofer to come out, check out your roof. He'll say, okay, well, these are things that you need to change, or these things are, your roof looks fine. Let me start. The $275 is for the 2 years of certification, and it's transferable.
A lot of roofers anymore don't want to do that work because they'd rather do roofs. And so you just taught me something really new, that when they use you, they could actually have a roofer come out there and give a 2-year certification, or, hey, you got to do these things and we'll certify it for 2 years.
Correct.
Whereas a lot of roofers don't do that anymore. So for realtors listening, that's a pretty hot tip. If somebody wants to buy the house, but you got to get past a roof deal, you can have somebody come out there and certify that. Sometimes lenders are requiring because they've seen, a leak hitting the from the top of the ceiling and that kind of stuff. So that's important to know.
It's not
I didn't know you guys would do that. Huh?
It's not just 2 years. We do it we can do 2 years.
That's the minimum,
3,
right?
4, that's the minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
So once they do the certification, they could go out and they go, no, I can give you a 5-year. This is fine.
Right.
Okay. But us lenders thinking 2-year terms, because that's usually what's required. So awesome. So
mold, we do mold and termite also. So we're kind of like the one-stop shop, which is super cool. So an agent goes into escrow, they can call us up and they can get the home inspection or the commercial inspection. With the home, they can do the sewer, they can do it mold, they can do termite, they can do the roof. So it's like super convenient and time efficient.
So one of the things I'm just going to say as a statement is that big report that comes out has been one of the best things I've ever used in the real estate I purchased as my checklist for what I need to do. Even if there's a lot of little tiny things and stuff like that, it's worth the price to have a professional go through and say, here's the items that need to be done. When we used Elite, when we purchased when my son and I purchased a house, it was really easy to go through and go, here's all the things that need to be done. We knew we were getting a good price. We knew, it was not going to be something that they were going to do the work, but we were able to go back and say, hey, we need a price adjustment. This is a lot of work. And then I knew what my knockdown list was going through that list. So just remember that report. It's not just for negotiating what might need to get price reduction for whatever. It's also like there's little things that if the house is older, just going to need. This allows you to sort of have that list of things to attack to make your house in great shape and go for the next 20 and 30 years. So that's just something I wanted to bring, as I never thought of that before, but boy, what a great list of items to take care of it was.
Indeed.
So what are like some of the horror stories that you've heard since you've been in the biz? Because you kind of run a region, right? So like, what are some of that like, sort of talk around the water cooler? Like, dude, guess what we found at this house? Like, gotta give me a couple scary, like, oh my God. Like, just like like, why would I spend the $450? Nothing's going to happen. I got a couple like scary stories of people that they didn't have any clue. And then when the home inspector went out there.
In terms of deficiencies in the home, I don't have the biggest horror stories come outside of not outside of, but when you don't get a home inspection are the horror stories. That's
All right. So
worse.
what, you got any of those where
I
people like,
have
I didn't,
one.
oh, give it to me. Cause that's
Mm.
exactly like, you don't do this because, oh, you're fighting so hard to get that house that, oh, you don't want to scare anybody. Oh, no home inspection. That's the, like, no appraisal. Somebody can afford to bring the difference. Okay. No,
Yeah.
loan contingencies because you're a slam dunk. Okay. But no home inspection, like as somebody's been in the business a long time and you too, it's like, it's scary to me.
And a lot of people are like agents are saying, okay, okay, with the new builds. So because the new builders have all these warranties and they have their own inspector. And this agent came up to me 3 weeks ago and she's like, oh my gosh, Raquel, she's like, I my friend and I helped her buy this house and I trusted the new builder's home inspection company and or inspectors that they have. And she has over $30,000 worth of damage in her house because of okay, so here's what happened. Um, no home inspection of her own, and the warranty. Okay, the new owner goes in there and fixes the floors, does her own flooring. She didn't want to go with their flooring, chose her own flooring. A plumber came in, removed the toilet, and then put the toilet back on. And now the toilet wasn't put on correctly, and it just flooded the whole house up from upstairs all the way down, and it just ruined. So she's got thousands of dollars worth of damages in there, and none of the warranties cover any of it, and just
Because
so
that was after the fact. That wasn't really the builder, right? That was the
no, that was
flooring
after
person
that
that
was
came in.
yeah, that was the flooring person, and
Right.
yeah, that came in. Yeah.
Right. The builder, we can't blame the builder on that one because somebody
No.
removed the toilet and didn't put it right. And I've had that happen before where it wasn't seated right.
Yeah.
They're still weird the way whole toilet thing works, just to be honest with you, because it's like if it's not seated right, that's not uncommon, right?
No.
So
No, that's
what do
not.
we have any other horror stories that like somebody who didn't get an inspection?
I'm trying to think of, for me, the only bigger horror story I can think of is when I was representing a buyer, they did get the home inspection. I never let anybody waive a home inspection. So I don't know about
Hey,
that.
that's a really important statement, right? So if a realtor is smart, and they are very smart individuals, what they do for a living and all that kind of stuff. But if you're dealing with an experienced realtor and buyer's agent who knows what they're doing when they say, you're getting an inspection,
Oh, definitely.
because liability to the realtor surprises afterwards.
Huge.
All of a sudden, it's going to be your fault if something goes wrong with that house. And he's like, you don't know, you're not an inspector. You're a real estate agent. I'm a lender.
Right.
Even our appraisers appraise for value. We don't appraise for condition of the property. That's something the inspector has to pick up and be super experienced at doing. So I just want to cover that.
Absolutely.
An agent that is worth their salt is going to strong arm you to get an inspection, and it's because of all the surprises that can occur and be costly to you.
I can tell you, back in my day, I paid for a couple of inspections for people because I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not going to take this liability. I'm sorry. It was a little bit of a harder pill to take, but it doesn't matter. You think about what the consequences in the end, the possible consequences. No, no, no.
Mhm.
Sorry, I can't go that route. But I did represent this one individual, a couple with a family. Kids went to school together, and they bought this home in Covina. And she did get her home inspection, but there was mold, not mold, but microbial growth possible called out. And I urged her to get that mold inspection. And she's like, no, 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 no. My husband's an independent contractor. No, no, no. Anyways, she pulled up the flooring, and it was just a hot mess. So that was not one of my prouder moments. I should have probably paid for the mold inspection for her, but she was adamant that
And they were probably able to take care of it fairly okay or whatever else. But it's like at some point in time,
yeah,
just like with this straight up mortgage talk stuff, all I can do is say, here's some things to look at. Here's the sort of, red flags. Here's the things to watch for. But at some point in time, everybody buying a house is 18 or older and can be responsible for their actions. We're just trying to tell them where to look, what to be cautious of. And then at some point in time, we got to let them make a decision.
right.
Again, we could keep telling them like, hey, we really wish you do this, but it is up to them.
Yeah.
So at least that's not a horrible horror story, right?
No, it's not a horrible,
I
horrible
mean,
one.
and it's not like, hey, the house fell off the foundation a week after they
No.
bought the house, but it's really, in my opinion, getting down to understanding your cost and can you afford the repairs? And is that property still worth what you're paying for it based on what you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So it's not, again, I always get back to that because it's like, hey, it's not necessarily going to be a perfect house, but if you know what your expected cost of those repairs are, and you're still okay because that house is exactly where you want it and all that kind of stuff, even if you know, to go back to the seller and ask for repairs, if that doesn't work, it just gives you the information you need when you, as you started, are investing in the largest investment of your life.
Absolutely. It's making an educated and informed decision.
Right. And we can guide them and we can kind of tell them, and your estimator can kind of, you know, let them know what they're getting into. But that to me is why people have to do inspections, is to be most informed, like you said, and know, like, can I afford this stuff that I need to do to this house?
Right.
And you know, again, and maybe you're gonna pick up the hammer and do it. That's okay too. But what is my risk overall? So awesome. Anything that we didn't cover that you think we should cover?
Honestly, I just got to tell you how cool this has been. Maybe about 6 months now. All of our inspectors are CAR certified, California Association. Yeah, California, CAR
Realtors.
realtors. Thank you. Or California Association of Realtors. They're all certified. That means they've all been federally background checked.
Oh, cool.
For misdemeanors or felonies, and then
which when mostly women, realtors, or the owner of the house or whatever else is there and whatnot, who you're letting into your house is kind of important. So that's a pretty cool thing, right? I mean, it's like, we hear those kind of horror stories we've heard, and we know we want to keep them all safe and everything. And that's kind of an important factor. That's kind of neat to know. So
yeah, it's really kind of cool. We also have, by the end of February, we're going to have a total of 82 inspectors.
Wow.
All
certified. So that leads me to the next and final question, so I could let you go, go handle your busy day. So how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you, and that kind of thing? Like, and what areas do you cover?
We cover all the way from Ventura County all the way down to San Diego County, all the way down to the border.
Okay, so Ventura down, not Santa Barbara, but Ventura down to San Diego. So basically that's
San Diego.
Yeah. Ventura South.
Correct. And then
what's the best number or email or whatnot that we can have kind of on an end screen? And you repeat it twice on how to get hold of you guys.
Sure. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-464-8998. That's 1-800-464-8998. I can give another phone number.
No, that's fine.
That's good enough.
Just need one number.
Okay, cool.
So the only phone number I'd want is because, these buyers are younger and they're millennials and stuff. Like, do you have a line where they can text or email or do it when they don't want to talk to people? Because that's, out of their comfort range. Absolutely. How would they do that if they were going to get hold of you to, schedule an inspection either via email or text?
That would be a text at 626-361-3727.
And you say, hey, start the conversation. I'm looking for an inspection on such property.
Absolutely. That's all they need to do. Property address and.
So who's texting them back? You have a customer service line, same people answer the phone. How's that work on the text?
That would be my personal text, my work phone.
So you can handle it there, schedule it. Oh, look at that. You get the queen when you do that text.
I'll take it and put it to the appropriate territory manager. I handle Riverside and San Bernardino County. And then we have 2 other reps, one that does LA County and then Orange County and San Diego.
Okay, perfect. But you get a text, you'll get it forwarded to them to make sure it gets scheduled stuff. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. This is super helpful. I think, when people have to spend that money on that inspection to understand what they're getting and not just like the majors, oh my God, but just even the minor stuff for them to make that educated decision, as we both discussed, is just so important. So again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye now. Tim Harrison, Straight Up Mortgage Talk, and we're talking home inspections.